Hey, this is Mark Watch for Making the Cut. Taking a look at your two semifinal games today. We're going to start off with Alabama and Cincinnati. That is at 3:30. Alabama is, as this taping this morning on Friday morning, they are 13 and a half point favorites. The over-under is 57 and a half. If you want to look at the trends of where Alabama usually covers, ATS the tie was 7-6 this year, whereas Cincinnati was 8-5. ATS and in their last 10 against the spread, Alabama was 6-4 and Cincinnati 6-4. So really, there's not really much to see there when it comes to trying to look at what the trends are from those two clubs. Cincinnati is 5-0 against the spread the last five games as an underdog. 6-0 against teams against the spread against teams with winning records. You look at those trends for Cincinnati ATS, for Alabama. 4-1 ATS last five games after accumulating 450 total yards. 4-1 ATS the last five non-conference games. 5-2 ATS in the last seven neutral site games. So you're looking for the over/under trends. The under is 5-0 in Alabama's last five bowl semifinal games. None of that comes into play today. There's 6-1-1 in their last eight games when they've accumulated 450 yards. So you start dealing with the number, like the over/under number, and you have to ask yourself the question, how effective do you think Alabama is going to be, and what type of game is this going to be? So if you look at the over/under, you have 57 and a half. If you think it's going to be the over, that is going to probably favor Alabama, because Alabama has shown that when it gets to the offensive shootouts, they tend to cover. Now, I don't know if their defense can hold Cincinnati to stay within those 13 and a half points, but the trend is saying that when we get into shootouts, Bama, everything swings into Bama's favor. So we'll have to see. My pick for the first semifinal game is Alabama minus 13 and a half. I think they end up maybe with a late backdoor cover. The game probably is close at the beginning. I know Cincinnati is a little engine that could, and people really want Cincinnati to win because they finally put the group of five in there, but wanting them to win and them actually winning against an Alabama program that's used to scheming for these type of games, this won't be too big for them. I know Luke Fickell is a great coach. I was one of the ones that would love to have seen Fickell up at Notre Dame, but they'll be competitive. But I think Alabama and their pedigree, Alabama, their experience, not only wins the game, but covers the 13 and a half. Michigan and Georgia's second game. Georgia is 7.5 point favorites, over under 45 and a half. And some buddies of mine, we've gone back and forth on that number, that 45 and a half, whether you're willing to take the over or not. People hate taking the under. I mean, people hate taking the under. And when you look at the trends there, I mean, Georgia's defense is so good. And you ask yourself the question, they played Alabama. They did give up a boatload of points, but Michigan's offense is not Alabama. And yes, Michigan scored 40 on Ohio State, but Ohio State's defense is not Georgia's defense. That's what makes that over/under number so scary. On top of that, if you want to bet the over, on top of that, Georgia doesn't. Their quarterback situation doesn't scare anyone. And in a game like this, you can see Georgia playing this close to the vest. Defense got you there. Don't take any chances. Kind of lessen the possessions in there. Play the field position game. And if that's happening, then that 45 and a half is very, very hard to get. As far as the spread, I just don't believe in Michigan. I know it was great that Michigan got over Ohio State, and you wonder if there's going to be some hangover, even though there's been plenty of time in between the games. Will there be some hangover of we finally got over this one hurdle, and will they be able to get over the second hurdle? So I would stay away from the over/under. and go with Georgia minus the 7.5. So my two picks for the semifinals today is Michigan. My two picks for the semifinals today is Alabama minus 13.5 and Georgia minus 7.5. This is Marcus Washington from Making the Cut.